Arizona's Department of Education is now auditing English teachers to decide if they are fit to teach children who are not native English speakers. If a teacher has a heavy accent, they'll be reassigned. Seems to me the policy is left wide open to discrimination. Let me bring in Tom Horne tonight, the Arizona State Superintendent of Public Instruction. Mr. Horne, good to have you with us tonight.
Oh, it's nice to be with you. I have one little quibble. It's not that we're doing it now. We've done it for all 8 years that I've been superintendent, that we've been monitoring the English language learner classes. We're actually required to do that by court order. And we make sure, not whether or not they have an accent, that's not really the issue. The issue is, are they proficient in the English language? Do they pronounce it in a way that's understandable? And do they know grammar? Because they're teaching students English. And certainly these students' parents expect their teacher of their children, where they're learning English, which is very important to them, to be fluent in the English language.
So it's not an accent issue? I mean, if I talk to you with an accent, that wouldn't affect whether I could teach English in your school system or not?
That's correct.
Well, that's not what the people are saying down there. They're saying that it's a method to target folks that you don't want in your school system. I need you to answer to that.
That's just a crazy, made-up thing by a reporter for the Wall Street Journal. There's no one down here saying that. Doesn't
it help a student to have someone who is bilingual?
No, they need to be taught. It doesn't? Definitely does not. No, they need to be taught by a teacher who knows the English language and teaches the student the English language. And it's not possible to be bilingual in all the languages we teach. We teach over 100 languages. So our teachers are trained to teach students English without necessarily knowing the language of the student, and immersing the student in English, at least 4 hours a day of intensive instruction in English, so they learn English quickly enough so that they can compete academically with their peers when they go into the regular classroom.
Mr. Horne, what's the definition of fluent?
It means that you can pronounce words correctly so that you're understood, and it means that your grammar is proper.
And so there's a judgment call made here by someone in administration to determine that teacher X, Y, and Z just doesn't sound right.
Well, the judgment calls made all the time in education. You're constantly observing teachers and making judgment calls as to whether they're teaching effectively or not.
In the 1990s, Arizona hired hundreds of teachers whose first language was Spanish as part of the bilingual education process. Now you're not going to do that. It's all based on how they sound and whether they can communicate to the satisfaction and by the judgment of an administrator. I mean, that leaves it wide open to discrimination, Mr. Horne.
You know, that's a totally silly argument. People expect the teacher of English to know English, and there aren't a lot of people who think that. There was one wacky Wall Street Journal reporter who made it sound like it was a recent thing that just happened. I've been doing it for 8 years, and who made it sound as though you're discriminating against people when you insist that teachers who teach a subject know the subject matter that they're teaching. It's common sense. Have
you fired teachers for not knowing the subject matter?
Nope.
Okay. Mr. Horne, good to have you with us tonight. I appreciate your time. Interesting topic.